Welcome back to the Bodhi Bros. I am, as always, John with a J.
And I am Phoenix Ray. Ooh.
And we just laughed before we hit record about the fact that we are on season 5, episode 13-ish. And we're like, man, where have we gone? How have we gotten here? Where are we going? What's next? Stay tuned. We might be working on screenplays and sitcoms together. We just discussed that. I mean, we're spreading the wings, folks. Who knows? We're letting the spiral flow dictate what's next, and we're excited about it. So, without any further ado, we are going to do another conscious conversation. And Ray's got a deck. It looks like the Sacred
Forest
Oracle deck. Denise Lynn. Got it. And he's going to pull a card. And this card does not have to be a reading for you, but it can be by simple way of you showing up for this podcast or recording whenever you should stumble upon it 3 days from now, 3 hours from now, 3 years from now. Ask a question if you'd like. Set an intention, and this card could be a reading for you. What's that?
Here's what the back of the decks look like. A little kind of like Pegasus, sort of.
Ray is telling me now that the back of the cards look like a Pegasus. That's right. Ray, did you say Pegasus?
Pegasus.
All right, there we go. So put that in your pocket and let it marinate. Pegasus it is today. And this could be so what he's going to do is he's going to pull a card, and we're going to just let the card dictate where the conversation goes or flows, and he's ready. He's ready. He's telling me, John, let's go. But if you have a question, set it, put it in the chamber, ready, or an intention for this, or just allow our conversation in the card to be a message for you. Here we go. In 3, 2, fun, reveal.
It is the Wizard of the Woods, Focus.
Of course it is, Ray. Of course it is.
Focus.
Is there a number attached to it?
Yeah, number 50.
Number 50 for all you numerology fans and friends.
Wizard of the Woods, which says focus. So
focus.
Wizard right there, shooting like an orb. It looks like
shooting an orb. Got it. 50 for all you numerology friends and fans out there. So number 5 or 50.
There is true magic in the world. However, to experience it, you must be able to direct your intention in the direction of your dreams. Thoughts are things, and as you focus your thoughts towards the good, you will attract more positive experiences and loving people in your life. If you direct your thoughts towards that which isn't working, you will create even more challenging situations. If you are pleased with the direction you are going, concentrate on what you desire, not on what you don't want. To develop inner power, gather your energy and focus intently on one thing. Also, diminish activities that aren't essential to this goal, and it will be just a matter of time until miracles begin to unfold. The spirit of the Wizard of the Woods says, put your attention on what's worthwhile, loving, and beautiful. That's what will manifest in your life. What you focus on is what you create. This is the time to choose just one thing to focus on rather than a slew of things, and watch miracles abound.
Man, if you all just knew the hour that we spent talking before we hit record. Why don't we hit record, Ray? This way people can understand how valuable and valid and just victorious. That's why I was
laughing, because it just went exactly with what we were talking about.
And I told him, I said, you watch the card you pulled, man. It's gonna just blow up everything that we just.
And it did.
I mean, like, I don't mean blow up in a bad way. I mean, bring emphasis to affirmation, confirmation. Like, we were just talking about this for an hour. We talked about I talked about how for the last week, I didn't create any new content for the comedy page, for the Bodhi Bros page, for any of my other endeavors. I just felt like maybe, like I said, like I was doing too many things. And that became, that became exhausting.
Right.
I mean, it just became like, I told you, I was just like, man, why am I doing this? So 3 people over here will see that, or 2 people. And it's not about the numbers. It's about creating something of substance that can be sustainable and that I can provide for myself, my family, my friends. And so that's where the stagnation came in. It's like, am I putting my focus, the card folks, and my energy into the right place? And that kind of had me sit back and go, maybe you need to take a week or this next week from the last podcast to this one and just not try so hard and not like keep reaching, but like listening and like and surrendering to that spiral, which was last week's theme.
Yeah.
And so I'm reminded of that, the George Lucas, creator of, if not my favorite, one of my most favorite movie franchises out there, Star Wars. Hello. I think he said, and I'm going to mess up his quote, but I think it's energy flows where intention goes, something about that, like,
Yeah.
and it's always been a phrase or a concept, like it's just simple, but it when you put it to practice, the magic always happens and it makes sense. And so what our conversation was about prior to hitting record was, we're like, what do we want to, are we doing what we want to do? And Ray asked me a really beautiful question, which was what? Remember?
If you had whatever the amount of fame and the amount of money wasn't an issue, you already made it, you're already viral. What would you want to do if you didn't have to accomplish any of that? It wasn't towards that. What would you do if you already made it? You already were successful.
Right. I already had an audience.
What would
Money
you
wasn't
do?
an issue. Like I wasn't like grabbing to try and create a career. Like I had all the resources and everything I needed. So now I can just be an artist, be liberated to create whatever. My answer was
You said you would write. You know.
I'd be a writer. And before we even started talking about writing screenplays and stuff, like I didn't mean write screenplays. I just write. I have lots of different ideas for writing. And Ray's like, I have some ideas for sitcoms and screen. And I was like, what? And I'm like, I also have those. And I'm like, wait a minute. We've been talking for a while now about, beyond the Bodhi, like what do we want to grow the Bodhi Bros into? And it was a multifaceted thing, like where we wanted to have other projects and do events and have a team. And part of my manifestation was always like, I wanted to have like a bunch of friends like Adam Sandler or like Seth Rogen or something, and like just make whatever we wanted to make, and then maybe grab one or a few successes and then build upon that. And I'm like, dude, we could totally just we just make screenplays and write sitcoms or whatever, and like just like those very same people did. And I'm like, is this all just happening as a result of surrendering to the spiral of last week?
Seems
And
that way, doesn't it?
it really does, man. All right, I've talked a lot, so what do you got from the reading so far?
Well, it says, like you said, your intent and direct your energy towards that. So I think really being mindful of what you want to create, of your intention of why you want to create what you want to create, and really maybe take some time and sit down and like think that over, maybe do some meditating, what you want to do. Sometimes, if you're going to direct yourself towards one thing, this energy, this goal, you got to kind of collect your energy. You got to kind of like bring all that energy. All the energy might be kind of scared right now or whatever. So you got to really like pull that in, look at the target, what you want, and really just, you got to go all in on this. No distractions. Maybe you don't, it says not to focus on obstacles and stuff and focus on what you want. But I do think sometimes you kind of have to like kind of predetermine what kind of things that could be, obstacles could be in the future. I mean, I think there's a certain way of like, you're not doing it to manifest those things or not using those, but to kind of pre-plan, like, okay, this could be a little issue in the future, but I'm going to plan it out. That way I know how to deal with it when certain things kind of come up, certain maybe setbacks. So yeah, have your focus on what you really want, focus on that one thing. Because, if you have all these different goals going on, and it's okay, we all have different goals going on at one time, whether we know so or not. Some of us may have goals in relationship and different areas of our life, but it's but mainly just being totally focused on reaching that and accomplishing that, and being very mindful of your intent of why you want to do what you want to do, and what brings you happy. And I think sometimes too, it's they would say sometimes people who are successful are sometimes people who are sort of detached from what they, sometimes people become accidentally successful, not planning on it. And I think that's because they're just focused on, their focus is probably just having fun. They're not trying to succeed. They're not trying to like accomplish something, because when you're sitting there, you're like, I got to accomplish this. I need to reach this goal. I need to be a millionaire. And that, so when you're saying like, I need to be a millionaire, I need this goal because I need to be a millionaire.
Resistance.
What you're saying is that I have lack. It's coming from a place of lack. So you're saying I need this because I don't have that already. So you have to realize that everything that you want, you already have inside you. So you must have to discover it first. You almost have to become wealthy inside. You need to become famous within yourself and see yourself as famous, love yourself. And then come from where everything comes from, a manifestation of what you already are, not because something is lacking in you that you're trying to get from an outside source.
That really sums up the journey, man, so far. Like, I mean, it just makes sense. I think it makes sense for both of us. Like why we're an equal match to this experience. Maybe a little different story for on your side and my side, but pretty much the same. We've tried, just with the Bodhi Bros alone, we've tried many different things. And then we have our own little side things with our TikToks and stuff like that we do, comedy or just for fun. But I think one of the best successes that as a duo that we've experienced so far is, in your solo TikTok channel, you just do those masked characters and shit for fun. You didn't have any attachment to it or anything like that. Like, you weren't trying to make a career, and that channel gets a lot of views.
Right.
Like,
because I'm just having fun. It's just a creative outlet. My
right,
attention is fun and creativity. I
right,
mean, sometimes I don't mind. Like, yeah, I do. Sometimes I want to get likes and I want to get views, but I don't take it serious because to me, it's like a video game to me. I
yeah,
don't like. Oh yeah, I want to
yeah,
win the game, but it's
yeah,
not like I really don't care. At the end of the day, it's just more about
right.
having fun. And
So how do you get yourself to not care, but you care so wildly? Like, let's take, for instance, individually in this conversation, let's take my comedy channel. I'm like, man, like, I have 158 subscribers. Like, there are billions of people on the planet. Like, how come nobody's watching? Not nobody, 158. Thankful for all of you, by the way. But how come I can't build it? Like, how come it's just this is
because it's not that. You got to figure out why do you want that, and you got to figure out what you're trying to get from that. Whatever you're trying to get from that, you have to realize that you already have it.
right,
So there's something within you that you like, that you have an attachment to that.
right,
So you have an attachment to, and that attachment is based on who you think you are. Because it's like, and it's saying like, if you're not getting enough, that means I'm not. Let's uh, you know, let's just say you saw someone hypothetical. I don't know, like, let's say somebody has like, 120 subscribers to something, and to them, they're like, man, I'm sad because, you know, it reflects of who they think they are. It hurts their self-esteem.
well, let's shit, we're here, man. Let's not use someone else. Let's use me.
Okay.
158 subscribers. let's
Right.
dive let's dive into
So,
this.
so whatever that is causing you, it's causing you to feel a certain way about yourself.
Okay, like, I'm not good enough for more
Right.
of an audience. Like, I need to be better. I need to do better.
Right. So you're
Like, my
saying,
material's not good enough yet to garner the attention of a bigger audience.
right. So it's really putting that insecurity of who you think you are, which comes from a lack of really knowing who you are, what you are. So it's a false identification, because you may know this in words, but when you're awakening that, you would know that you already are. If you're in oneness and everybody's you, it's sort of irrelevant in a way. Looking
Hmm.
at from that perspective of reality, it's irrelevant because you already are all that. You are everybody. So you don't really need everyone's approval or that to say this is who I am. Now it doesn't always that plus so, and I would say it's a combination of not knowing, truly knowing yourself on a deeper level, and it's also probably some sort of trauma that you're trying to overcompensate with and trying to use fame to say like, okay, I need these people's validation. I need a 20,000 people in order to feel good about myself.
Mm.
But what are you trying to feel good? What are you pushing? What are you covering that made you feel like you weren't good to begin with?
Right. Mom and dad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, look, I did it. These people get it. Like,
yeah.
right.
Right.
And I did it. And
so there's somebody within yourself, a certain part of your egoic self that says that's who you're trying to silence. You're silencing that maybe that inner critic that
right.
says like, look at you, you're nothing. Nobody really cares about you. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
You're nobody. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna take my talents and I'm gonna like build this huge audience. I'm gonna do this and like, look, see, I proved to you. And now it's not happening. But whatever that needs to be healed doesn't want to be healed through that method of creating this huge audience and kind of bulldozing that little inner critic that's it wants you to go into inner critic and say like, listen,
what do you need?
What do you need?
Right.
Why do you it's
not
really
and that's
okay. Feels that way.
Yeah, not an echo of my childhood experience of this is always being told this is what you need, this is what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I'm doing to my inner critic / inner child. I'm repeating that trauma by saying this is what you're getting, virality, and you're getting famous, and you're getting rich this way. Like this is the way, like you're going to be a comedian. This is the channel. We're going to go from 158 subscribers to 158,000 to 1.5 million. Lickety splickety golf claps and poetry snaps done. And that little John inside of me, that little, that protector or whatever is like, no, because we're just going to be repeating the same thing that happened when you were a little kid. No, like, you're telling me this is what you're going to do and there's no other way, and you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
And that's the same conversation that I used to have with my parents. Like, I'm like, I want to do this. They're like, you're not doing that, and you need to understand that's not going to work, and you're going to do things this way.
Right. Yeah. Or it could also be sort of like, you have a kid and the parents neglect the kid, so they end up like buying the kid all these gifts and all this stuff. And it's like, throwing a big birthday party for the kid and having all these gifts and cake and ice cream. But the rest of the year, they kind of neglect the kid and they kind of just like, da, da, da. So they think they can make it up. So in a way, too, that could be like, sort of your inner child really wants that love and wants to be seen. But instead of doing that, you're like, you know what? We'll become famous and rich instead. And this will make you happy.
Right.
Because like, yeah, that's cool, but I really want to just really want to hang out and be loved and be heard, and I don't need all that, really.
It's true. And I think that definitely matches up with when you asked me the question earlier, what would you do? Well, I'd be the writer, and typically the writer is not the rock star. It's the behind the scene. It doesn't, he or she or them, they don't need that attention. Their gratification comes in the creation of the piece itself. They don't seek the spotlight. Some do, but most don't, because they just love to write. And that part of me just is kind of like that. I feel like most attached to that inner critic, that voice. I just want to write. You want to put these videos out there, and you want to this, and put us in harm's way and danger and cancel culture and crazy people and this and that and the other. Like, we don't want that. Like, we don't. And that's why the number stays at 158.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, folks, this show's over. I've got shit to do. Oh my gosh, it's that easy, huh? All right, so you're the new idea, man. I'm gonna write. I'm not even gonna use my name. I'm gonna be like, like Johnny McJohnerson, and that's my new name. That's my writing name. My pen name is Johnny McJohnerson, and you get all the fame and all the.
I don't need all the fame, man.
Well, just take it. You don't have any. You don't have any resistance to it, so just take it. Break me off a piece of your Kit Kat bar and a check, and we're good. Done. All right, folks. This episode's coming to no. So, yeah, it's good. I feel that makes a lot of sense. Now, how about on your side? Now, we talked about me. How about how does this? How do you feel like this reading, the conversation beforehand, and now the card plugs into you in your life?
To me, I don't know. I feel this like excitement now. Like I always feel like I get this like excitement, like to follow this. Like when I get excited about something, it's usually a good sign, and I feel like that's the direction I want to go in. And like now talking about doing like writing scripts and stuff, I feel like my inner child is like kind of like, ooh, that sounds like fun. Like it sounds like fun. It sounds creative. It sounds like there's not like a lot of pressure to try to put on a performance and do videos. Try to get, because I feel like we're doing this, we're always trying to seek, we're kind of, I don't want to be results, like instead of just creative for fun, it's hard when you're trying to create in order to get success. It's sort of like there's an opposition there. It's kind of stifled. I think the same thing artists get into, like, let's say like a band does really good, the first two records or record goes really good because they were just writing from the heart and they're just writing and the songs, and now they make it big, and now the record industry is like, okay, you had this big record, now you gotta, it's like, man, how do I follow up this huge hit? Now you're trying to write from, your intent is not to create out of love and what you want. Your intent now is skewed. It's kind of like muddied because now you're like, okay, because I have to be successful as this last record.
Right.
Hits, and I have to, if I don't, these people are going to come to the show and people are going to say I'm a one-hit wonder, a failure. So now you're kind of coming from fear. You're not coming, it's not pure. So I think to me, like, I don't know, like I'm kind of excited about starting a new journey with you and doing writing and doing that. And it feels good.
I like that, man.
I mean, we still do this.
Yeah. This is part of the whole manifestation of it all, man. Like,
yeah.
This is one of the arms of the Bodhi Bros, man. Like,
and I think that too, like the excitement, like when I'm feeling too, is sometimes when you're going to go towards something, listen to your body. How does your body feel about going towards this, whatever this goal is? Let's say writing a movie script or whatever it is that you're going to put your energy into. Your body will kind of tell you a little bit too.
Yeah.
You'll kind of lighter. You'll feel a little more energy. You'll feel like, yeah. Or it's like, sometimes when you're going towards something you're kind of like, you'll feel a little bit like that heavy feeling, a little heavy, you feel like that little like, in the background. It's a little,
yeah, you should have seen Ray earlier, man. Like, you looked like you were, that little kid was on fire, man. Like, it was Phoenix Ray, like blazing glory. Like when you were talking about your ideas, you just came to life, man. It was like, and it was good. Like, I'm going to always be honest when it comes to, well, anything really, but like, it's tough to tell your friends or the people that you love and stuff, how do they really feel about a concept or an art project, or, my daughter always used to bring me her art and she's like, what do you think? And I always met her with just honesty, I mean, I was never like, ew, like, what's, it wasn't like that, but it was always like, oh, that's a good one. Or like, it wasn't the same robotic, like, oh my gosh, that's so great. Oh my gosh, that's so great. It was, whatever she presented with me, I allowed it to just affect me and give her an authentic expression of how I felt about it. Right. And sometimes I think, for her as an artist, she was like if she didn't see that elevated response, she maybe it pushed her as an artist to like to go further or to add more to the piece or something like that. but she always got that in me, and I always like to give that. And when you were giving your ideas, dude, I think, dare I say, equally as tickled as you were sharing them, because they were really, really good, man. I was like, dude, this is, yeah, man. And then I went on to tell you, like, when we met in Utah, I was like, this guy's got a lot of great fucking ideas. Like, he's hilarious. But like you said, you're not the writer. You're like the idea person.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just you being honest with your strengths.
Right.
And yeah, I think I've had some decent ideas, but I'm a much better writer than I am an idea guy.
Well, then it's perfect.
I mean, right? I mean, it just makes sense.
Right, we're the Bodhi Bros, Rhino Brothers.
Right, for life, man. So, like, seriously, one of the, if not the number one, yeah, let's call it that, projects of passion that I ever embarked upon was the book that I made with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And like every step of the way, it was like effortless. It was joy. It was like, I want to be doing this. And then when we did it, right, there was a period of time, and she's not ready for this right now, and that's fine. She's going to go at her own pace, but I didn't want to do anything else in the world. I was like, man, like I found it. This is it. I just want to make books with my daughter for the rest of my life. Like, that's all I want to do. I don't need to do anything else. Like, I mean, like, I was like,
about that book in Utah, and I was like, man, that's a really good. I was like, man, that's a really great idea, man. That sounds like a hit book. I mean,
we planned out a whole series of fun. One book became 5 books, like, overnight.
You told me about that, and it was like, man, I'm like, that was like great ideas, man. That was, because I remember you were telling me that, and I had the idea. I was like, man, you should read that book, that parts work book I did, Feeding Your Demons. I'm like, that's kind of sounds a lot like what you were doing, and everything, like doing that. And it was like, wow, but using it as creative in like a children's book. And I'm like, man, that was, to me, that's a great thing, man.
Dude, the second book is written. I'm just waiting on her to be ready, man. The third, I've moved on to the third book, and like, it's just like I have an open like outline notebook. It's all ready for me to do it. She's just at a journey, part of her journey of her life where she's not ready for that yet. But and that's fine. That's another chapter, another day, another story. But the point is like that was focused joy, intention, passion, and things. It was made. People go a whole lifetime saying, I want to write a book. One day I'm going to write a book. And we just like did it. And it was like, yeah, some things were difficult on her end for the editing and stuff like that, a big headache for her. But ultimately, all things considered, like, we just did it and it got done. And the next thing you know, we're sitting out in front of one of our favorite places in Orlando, doing a book signing, looking at each other like, is this happening? Like, is this real life? And from she started coming up with other ideas and stuff too. She's like, hey, I've had these ideas for this. Can you help me write that? I'm like, I could do that. And I'm like, I've had these ideas for this. Can you illustrate? Because for the record, folks, she's the illustrator, I'm the author. Anyway, and we're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh God, like the dream's here, like daddy, daughter for life. Like, this is it. And I'm like, let's make a toy factory like Willy Wonka and shit. But like, instead of candy, it's toys. And I'm like, let's just go fucking magical, crazy, fantastic land. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but why not? And I'm like, all right, my work here as a dad is done. It's never done, but like, I'm like, this is it. And then life happened the way life happened, and we're at. And who knows? Maybe she jumps on the Bodhi Bros train and becomes part of the team.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Ray! It's making total sense here. Like, when you're ready, open invitation. We'll tell you where to send the application, but I know a few people. Talking to your daughter. She doesn't watch these. But if you're watching this one, apply today. Anyway, so yeah, it's good, man. Yeah, I like what you said about your body, and because that's so true, and so many of us don't pay enough attention to that. And my body being as sensitive it is, not just to food, but just through the years and stuff, like that really hit home when you said that, because when this last week, my body didn't feel great. And that's why I was just like, every time I like was getting up to like, I'm gonna go make a video. I'm gonna put something on the comedy channel or put something on the TikTok. Like my body was not in that tractor beam mode where it was pulled to the computer and it was effortlessly like, let's go, man. Like I'm ready. It just wasn't. It was
I
like,
felt that way too, even doing like those, like when I tried to make the TikTok reading and stuff like that, I felt that same way. And then, and of course my phone would even send it. I mean, how much validation do you need for that?
that's another part of this, right? Like Ray was trying to send me videos and he's like, I sent it the same way. And he's like,
yeah,
it wasn't letting me. And I'm like, Ray, just figure it out. Like, come on, dude. And it was funny because I'm like, I've got nothing right now. I need your videos. I'm like, Ray, send me something because I'm not publishing anything right now. And you're like, phone won't do it, can't do it. Sorry. I'm like, fuck. But it delivered us to the shores of this, Ray.
yes.
Wow. We might never need to make another Bodhi Bros episode. Like, no, folks, there's going to be more, trust me. But this just feels good. Like we've always jumped in the stream, man, and allowed us to take us. Sometimes we've resisted, absolutely.
Right.
But when we remind ourselves and each other to like surrender to the spiral, it does produce the magic. What's the card?
Focus.
And what was it called? The something
Wizard of the Woods.
The Wizard of the Woods. I fucking love it.
That's a great name.
My partner today was talking about being a magician, and like, like I love this. I love when everything lines up. Bing, 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 bing. Connect the stars, the dots, light this fucking place up, man. What else you got?
Hey, I don't know what else there is to say, man.
That fucking lion behind you, man. Like, yeah, it's totally, yeah.
I kind of like that line too, because it kind of reminds me to like, it's like a focus energy, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like that male energy, just like go forward. Keep going.
I'd like it too, man. There was a time where the other backdrop was perfect, but this one is like really good, man. Like it just makes sense. And I've been wanting to mine's like chaos, right? Like it's kind of like me with all my lines in the water, right? Like I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here, I'm over here. Oh, I just made a new website. Remember I told you I was like, oh, I just made another website and put that out there and put this out there. Yeah. And that's like behind me. This is the tea house, right? And I've got fucking Muppets and me as a unicorn and simplify it. Right. I've been thinking that I was like, I have this new setup now. I'm like, I would like something to just be basic and be like, you know, like it look sharp and everything, but this is just like a jumbled mess of just fun and nonsense.
You should see the pile around me. I'm like mask around me. I have this little table in my living room.
Yeah.
I have all it's like little table where this mic and my laptop's on.
Yeah.
Propped up by books, more books. And I have all these damn decks. I have decks like stacked, like almost about to fall over and like all around me. And I have, I got like this next to me. I got like, what is
nice. Yeah, I feel like we have very, very similar setups, man. I've got a whole bag, right? Like right down there. My partner gave me a whole bag of like wigs and like scarves and she's like, if you want to get crazy, here I have this old stuff from college, and it's like this whole bag of props and shit. I've got the Muppets, the tea, I've got 100 decks behind me, below me. I've got the mail, like stacks of mail on this side. I've got stacks of books. I've got gut feeling. It's a
candle.
No, it's actually a powder that you add to your water. It's got like celery, Jerusalem artichoke, apple, lemon balm, and ginger. That's
cool.
Yeah, man. My partner just gave it to me as a gift, and I was like, all right, message received. I'll put it in my water. I like your hat. Yeah, it's time for change. It's time to go to what feels good, man.
Exactly.
Let's do that.
At the end of there.
Yeah. All right, folks. Till next time. I'm John with a J.
I'm Phoenix Ray.
Stay tuned for more because it's coming, folks. Seriously, it's on the way. And daughter, apply. Looking forward to seeing your application. I love you. And we're out.
We out.